Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Sage 50 Cloud Pastel Accounting Topic webinar. My name is Jean Barnard, and I will be your host for this session. Today, what we're going to be discussing is the difference between desktop and between cloud software. So a lot of people, because of the way that we name our products, have found that a little bit confusing. And they'll be like, okay, well, is Sage 50 Cloud not a cloud product? Now, guys, the answer to that is no, it's not. It is a desktop product. And the way that you know a desktop product to a cloud product is a desktop product requires you, for example, to log into, for example, pastelupdates.sage South Africa, and you would need to download an actual installation file. And that would need to be installed on your desktop. Now, with things like Office 365, while that is cloud software, you can choose whether you want to connect via the cloud or to download the desktop software. So for example, if you're using Office, we advise you to please download and install the Office software because that integrates with your Pastel, because that is also desktop software. Whereas if we look at our just going to go Sage 1 login. Sorry, guys, I didn't save that. But if we look at our Sage Accounting, so Sage Accounting is actually officially called Sage Business Cloud Accounting, which again is confusing because here it just says Sage Accounting. This would be cloud software. You literally are opening up a web browser, you're going to a login page and you're logging in. Now you can also do that in Office 365. Where if you open Outlook via a web browser, that is then via the cloud. So it can have both. Pastel, on the other hand, has to be installed on a computer or on Windows software. So if we had to have downloaded that and we take a look, we'll see that there is a physical download. Now, for my business partners and my accountants, I'm going to give you a quick tip here. If you have customers who are working in various builds and you don't want to have to keep telling them to upgrade to the latest one, what you can do is you can rename the build before you install the latest build to the build that it is. And that will save it. So for example, 19.3.5 is 19.3.5, or you could have saved it as 19.3.5. When you open it, you will have to open it from that folder though. So you'll have to come in and then you will run it from this and it will open that version. At this point, if you now had to go in and run the 19.4.4 install, it's going to create a new Pastel 19 folder, which then is in fact going to install 19.4.4. You can now have your customers who run 19.3.5 as well as your customers who are running 19.4.4 on the same machine without constantly telling your customers, okay, allow, without constantly telling your customers that they need to upgrade, especially if they have multiple workstations. So just a quick tip to accountants and to business partners, if you want to be able to run the same version but different builds, you just rename the folders. Whether it's Express or Partner, you can call it 19.3.5, 19.3.5, or whatever the version is that you're running. Now, this is where we actually physically installing software. So this is our Pastel Partner. So guys, we used to be called Softline and it would be Partner and Express. That is what Sage 50 Cloud is actually referring to. It's referring to Partner and Express. Now, if you're running an update, which basically is what I'm running, even though I downloaded the full install, it may advise you that it requires additional dependencies. If you see the screen, just click on no. If you click on yes, you're going to have to know where the original setup.exe file is. You can click no and it should start to install. So what this is now doing is this is actually going into something called your Windows registry. Sorry guys, it's going to make me allow again. So we tell you to please turn off your user account control, especially in a networked environment. On our side, I have requested my IT to do that. They still haven't. It is controlled by our firewall and by our IT department, so I do not have rights to turn off my user account control. I am also a single user, but in a multi-networked environment where you have multiple users, please make sure your user account control is switched off. That will be in a later webinar, but here we can see this is now running my installation. So this is physically installing files on my Windows, and it is altering my registry accordingly, which is very important, but this is a desktop application. So what that means is that in order for me to work on the software, while I may not need the internet, I do require a physical computer. Whereas if I log into my Sage accounting, I can log into my Sage accounting, I can download the mobile app and use the mobile app on my phone, on my tablet, or I can use a laptop or a computer, because this is all stored in the cloud, if that makes sense. So as well, if I log into the cloud software that we have available for accounting, it uses a username and a password, and it logs me in accordingly. On top of that, there is no update to run. So normally we will advise you via, for example, the Sage Community Hub, that we are running an update, or the system will be off. That is one of the downsides of cloud software, is that when we run an update, everyone is updated. There is no choice. You cannot go, hi, I like this version, not that version, I want to wait. We take the system offline, we upgrade everyone. So it's basically, we just update the program itself, and then everyone is on the latest version. But we will normally let you know via the Sage Community Hub. Again, you just click on Sage Accounting or Sage 50. So guys, as I said, I'm talking about both programs today actually, but this is where we would let you know that, look, this is what's happening. It will normally be an announcement, and we will tell you when we are planning our updates. So here you can see that we've given you a lot of different things, Sage support channels, operating hours, bank feeds issues, that type of thing. And we will also let you know, one of the downsides of cloud software is that everyone is connecting to the internet, everyone is connecting into the same program, and that can cause, as we saw here, sometimes I speak too quickly and I stumble over my words at the moment. Degraded performance, so it's degradation of the system, and what that means is that there's a lot of traffic happening and there's a bottleneck, and we will need to look at that. That could cause slow performance, those types of things. Whereas if we're looking at desktop software, that software works irrespective, but again, there are downsides, because if we are talking about desktop software, that software, if someone does upgrade to a higher version, and it's a multi-version. So if you're on a multi-user, and I've upgraded mine to 19.4.4 as we saw now, but I work with, one of my colleagues, Sally, for example, or Tapiso, and they have not yet upgraded their version. They are actually going to get a message saying that they have not upgraded their version. Guys, for this, I'm just going to quickly register as demo because I don't want to waste our time. But basically, they will then not be able to access the company. So that is the downside here, is that can waste a lot of time. If I've upgraded, I haven't told everyone, and we're 15 users. Every single user, including the server now, has to be upgraded in order to work in the software, because it's not going to let you work in it. Whereas the positive of cloud software is everyone is already actually is already upgraded. There's no waiting, but the downside is when we are running the update for cloud, no one can work in the system at all. So that can be offline for 3, 4, 5 hours. We do normally try to plan that after hours, but those are the two sides. Desktop software, which is physically installed on your Windows, cloud software, which you access normally via a web browser. And then the two, positives and negatives. Cloud software, always the latest version. However, when we are making changes to the software, you cannot connect at all. It will tell you, sorry, maintenance is in progress. We should be done in X amount of hours, and that is a should. Depending on what happens, guys, it might be longer, it might be shorter. Desktop software, on the other hand, you can choose when to upgrade it, and you can say, look, actually, I want to run this upgrade after 4 o'clock on a Friday, and we'll pay, or get a company in, a business partner or your IT and go, look, this is when we want this change to run. Most people won't be in the office then, or you can schedule something else to happen then, and they can then run those updates. Downside, if someone updates, no one can work in the program. Okay, guys, I see there's a question. Okay, no question, just the sound. So hopefully that's fine. Then the other difference between desktop software and cloud software is to do with backups. So if we are looking at our desktop software, when we create a company, so for example, we look at this demo company and I open it, this will give us an actual location of where this is stored. And as we can see at this point, this is stored on my C drive. So if I open this and I make changes, this is in fact creating and making those changes on my C drive. Now, if many of you are multi-user, you may find that this is actually connected to a map drive. So you might see that yours is P Pastel 19 and the company. But if it is your server machine, and on networks, you should see it there then, and you will double click on that map drive. In my case, it's the C drive. If I go in, this data is actually stored on my computer itself. It is updating all of these DAC files. If this PC had to be stolen, I would lose all of my data unless I am backing it up. And I have made sure I've backed that up in or on an external source. So either that's where you can use something like a cloud backup service, like IronTree, like, sorry guys, OneDrive. Sorry, I was just going to go look, like OneDrive, like Dropbox, where you can go and store your backups there. But the other thing is that you need to physically tell the system to make a backup in desktop software. It's not going to incrementally back up your data, and you can restore that data unless you have signed up for something like IronTree. IronTree is a backup service that does back up your data, and it backs it up the first time in full, after that in increments, and you can go back 30 days. However, again, you need to make sure it's pointing to the correct folder, either Pastel folder, Express folder. So if we look on the C drive, we can see I have Pastel and Express, and you can either include specific companies or multiple companies. In that case, if you are backing up yourself to, your C drive and moving it to an external drive, you will need to physically either create new folder, for example, backups, and this will back up, but again, it's backing up to my C drive at this point. So it's backing up to this computer's C drive. I would then need to state, okay, this file, especially if you're using OneDrive, I want this folder to back up every day and to synchronize. It will then back up everything. Or you can just say, I want it to back up the backups folder, and it will back them up. But it will not do that unless you physically tell the system to do it. In the online version on Sage Accounting, your system is always up to date. But if you need information that you possibly deleted or you want to look at a later date, you can request a backup from us. We keep 30 days and we can access that for you, but your system is always the latest transactions, the latest version, whatever you've done and every user has done is already done on the cloud version. It's done, it's sorted, Sage Accounting is updated, it's backed up, and there is nothing further for you to do. When you sign up for Sage Accounting, you sign up for the number of users you want, you sign up for the number of companies, and you set it up. You just need to set it up. There is no installing. There is no having to create a company, and if you're a multi-user, go and install all of the software on your second user, create a map drive, make sure that you're adding or activating the companies from the map drive. So guys, with desktop, your network gets involved. With cloud, only your internet connection matters. Whereas with your desktop, your entire network matters. The way you share, the way you set up your network, whether network discovery is on or not. And that can then lead to something that if any of you do use Pastel accounting, you might be familiar with. That is called data degradation, or you need a data fix. So your data, when upgrading, especially if you have the more users that log in, the greater the risk of needing a data fix and there being data degradation. And that is where something goes wrong. One of those mini tables that you saw in the C drive. Sorry, I'm just going to take you back there. So if we look at the demo company, for example, now all of these are opened in a program, which is the database, which is called Pervasive. And in Pervasive, there are multiple tables that have information in. So if, for example, you update to your ACC MAS file, which is your general ledger master file, but it didn't update, for example, to your transaction file, that is going to cause a data integrity problem because it's going to look through all the transactions, it's going to see something is missing, and it's going to give you an error. You will need to send your data through to us. So you need to make sure that your network is as stable as possible. Now, a lot of you might be going, seriously, your network is as stable as possible? Doesn't that kind of deal with the electricity? Yes, it does. So in this country, unfortunately, although touch wood for the last couple of months, it's been fairly stable, we don't have the most stable power grid. So that could mean an increase in data integrity issues. However, that is with desktop software, and then you have your cloud software. Now, guys, I do have a webinar on the difference between Pastel specifically and Sage Accounting with regards to what uses codes, what doesn't use codes, add-on modules, that kind of stuff. You're welcome to watch that webinar. This is specific to show you the difference between desktop and cloud software. But at this point, a lot of people will go, what happens if I don't want to use Sage Accounting, but I want Pastel to run as a cloud solution? Is that possible? And yes, there is a way to actually do that if you want to. It still isn't fully a cloud solution, but you can use something called a cloud server. And a cloud server is basically where you will get hold of someone, for example, cloud.co.za or AfriHost, one of those places, and they literally set up a virtual machine within their server farm. So they will have a server farm and you will say to them, look, based on my needs, so if we open up cloud.co.za, we can go and look at what they're offering. So here you can see they're offering Linux, they're offering Windows, and you can say to them, look, basically what I'm looking for is I'm looking for example, a Windows server machine running Server 2019 or whatever the latest one is. Sorry, haven't kept much up to date with the Windows itself, but whatever the latest Windows server software is, I need X amount of users to log into this server And what they will do is they will set up remote desktop connectivity to this cloud server. They are responsible for the server, and basically when you log in using RDP, again, it is actually your internet, because everything will happen on that server as if you are working on the main machine. So the network, again, is no longer involved. So if, for example, a user had to be at home and they have a laptop, they can RDP into that server and they can work on their user on that server, updating the same data as the other 5 people, whether at the office or not. Where it differs again between a genuine cloud solution and a inverted commas cloud solution is you would still need to run the install on that server, but only on that server. You would still need to make your backups because the system will not back up. You can always request that the whole server is backed up by the company that you are asking for the cloud server from, and then you will pay a fee for that cloud server. That is separate to your pastel licensing, but it does do away with the whole network aspect, and there is far less data issues if you do run it on a server with RDP access. So guys, that is a way that you can do it. However, it is not a true cloud solution because you still have to install software instead of just logging in. You still have to run the updates on that server and you still have to make backups. However, if any of your machines are stolen, if the hardware is stolen, that server still exists because it is created on a virtual machine. The only downside is if the service provider goes down, you will not have access, and if your internet line goes down, you will not have access. Guys, does anyone have any questions around desktop software, cloud software, and then running desktop software as a, in inverted commas, cloud solution, so a mock cloud solution? Are you guys with me? Do you have any questions around that? Is there something that you need me to explain in more detail? I might have used technical terms, so please let me know, because I would rather re-explain everything than you don't understand. There is no such thing as a silly question for me. So if I've not explained right, please use the question icon and send your questions through to me so that I can see, are we all on the same page and do we understand the 3 ways, the one true cloud solution, and then the 2 ways that you could, if you wanted to, run pastel accounting. I'm going to give us 2-3 minutes and see if anything comes through. Okay, great. So I've got a question here. How does multi-company, multi-currency be affected on Sage accounting? So on, for example, the actual cloud version, the one that I called Sage accounting, that's currently open, you do have multi-currency that is available, and you can have multiple companies. So you would set that up when you actually register. One thing though, when you are in fact setting up your company settings, so when you are taking a company that is going to be multi-currency, and much like Pastel, add-on modules you do pay an additional for, the first currency you set up will be your home currency. So what a lot of people do is they tick to use multi-currency and then they'll set up US dollars because they'll think, oh, I'm setting up my first multi-currency. Please don't do that. The first currency is your home currency. It literally asks you, is this your home currency or what is your home currency? Please make sure that you check that and read very carefully, because the moment you've set that, in Sage Accounting, you would have to get hold of us and we would have to then try to alter that for you. You cannot alter the system once you have changed it. And that can mean that you can't use your multi-currency for a period of time. And guys, we don't want to cause that delay for you. So basically, you just set it up. You would set up your currencies here, and then you would create your customers and your suppliers as per normal in in your actual Sage accounting, and you would process as per normal, and it will use those currencies accordingly. So for example, if I go add currency and I go British pound sterling, you can see that I just check or select the currency I want to use, and our Sage accounting actually checks the exchange rate at that exact specific point in time. So it goes, well, that's what the home currency is, so this is the exchange rate accordingly. And you can then say add, and it will add that accordingly. I hope that I understood, because that's what I understand by Sage accounting. In terms of your multi-company, you can then go and create your companies if you have selected multiple companies. So it's basically here, and I did run on Tuesday, creating a new company from scratch for Sage Business Cloud Accounting or Sage Accounting, and you just click on Add Company. And then here you can see your Manage Modules, which would be your add-on modules. So therefore, there's time tracking, multi-currency, debtors manager, and advanced inventory. And you can see how many licenses I have of each available. And I can then apply those to my various companies accordingly, or I can upgrade them. Please let me know if that answered your question. Awesome. Okay, so I did get it right. Okay, fantastic. Guys, so I haven't had anyone say yes or no with regards to cool, get what's cloud, get what's desktop, and I understand the idea of a cloud server. So have I been clear on that? I haven't confused anyone. Like if you're happy, just type yes. That would be fantastic. Just so I can check I don't need to go more into depth with that, or there are no other questions. If you're unsure what I mean by a little question mark with a speech bubble, yeah, I think that you all get it. Sorry, I was going to go look for my PowerPoint again, but it's just that little question mark in a speech bubble, bottom right-hand side. Okay, so fantastic. So guys, that is how desktop and cloud software differ. Do you guys want me to share the link so you can specifically watch the difference between cloud accounting and pastel accounting? Cool. So what I'm going to do is, sorry guys, I have all the links to all of our videos saved. So I just want to quickly go get that for you. And then if anyone has any other questions with regards to pastel accounting or Sage accounting, if need be, you're welcome to ask me quickly. I'll answer it if I can. If I can't, I'll find out for you. So guys, I'm going to go put this in the chat. So it's not going to come by the question icon. A message should flash across your screen. And if you can quickly copy that YouTube link, then you can watch that webinar. And although it is from a year or so ago, the information is still relevant. Okay, so guys, I'm going to wait for a couple of minutes to see if there are any further questions. If there are no further questions, and please feel free to type while I'm chatting, we are going to have another session on the 27th, I think it is, of June. And that is going to be on how to correctly transfer funds between cash books. It should also only be about 30 minutes. I know I say an hour, but I try to keep it within 30 minutes, 40 minutes, so that you guys are welcome to ask questions. And we're going to be talking about the correct way to transfer between cash books in Partner and then in Express, because it is very different depending if you're running Partner or Express. And it's very important to know how to correctly and accurately capture transfers between cash books so that your bank recon balances. Otherwise, as I said, guys, I hope you have an amazing day, a wonderful weekend. Hopefully, I'll see you at one of my future webinars.